Shelter Review. Jason Statham is yet another rogue sleeper agent in bog-standard Bourne Riff. Listen, if a formula works, it works. The amount of times that Jason Statham has played a former elite skill Black Ops-like agent of the state whose relative peace and quiet is interrupted by something dramatic and unexpected is well a lot. The Beekeeper, The Wrath of Man, The Mechanic, Hummingbird Parker, and now Shelter all have the charmingly inert British action star playing variations of the same theme. He left behind a world that conflicted with his strict code of ethics, with the hope of never having to kill again. Sorry, Jason, I guess it's not that easy to avoid the life of an assassin. Shelter is more or less exactly what it should be, a solidly choreographed action thriller with kinetically charged fight scenes. Statham plays to his strengths as a soft-hearted, steely-skinned renegade. Rick Roman's second film of 2026, Greenland 2 Migration, does nothing special to reinvent the wheel, which is just as well since it's endlessly enjoyable to see the no-nonsense Brit mow down bad dudes while clad in an entire outfit plucked from a Banana Republic catalog. The film has a couple of Statham's tautest hand-to-hand combats of his career. In Shelter, Statham plays Michael Mason, a name in the same purposefully unremarkable vein of James Bond. But Mason has none of that charm. He's a heavy-bearded recluse, determined not to have any human interaction. But don't worry, he's not a sociopath, he has a black husky that he seems to like quite a bit. Mason lives on a solitary Scottish isle of the Outer Hebrides, spending most of his days brooding at the tempestuous waters, drinking a ton of vodka, and playing chess by himself. He seems to never take his clothes off, even to go to sleep. Mason gets his sustenance from a once-a-week delivery by boat from a friend's daughter, Jessie Bodie Ray Brethnack, who travels to his shore on a tiny boat. But one day, it capsizes in a storm, and Mason is forced to dive into the water, Banana Republic turtleneck still on, and save Jessie. In the scrum, Jess's ankle is badly damaged, and though the tight-lipped Mason knows how dangerous it is for him to go into the nearby town, he has no choice if he's going to help his new companion. Of course, almost as soon as Hes touched down at a pharmacy does he attract the attention of MI6. It turns out that Mason used to be a part of a band of elite agents of the state, a fictional group called the Black Kites, started by the now former MI6 chief Manafort Bill Nighy. Intended as a subsection outside traditional covert operations, the company is so secretive that only he and the Prime Minister are aware of its existence, the unfortunately underused Harriet Walter of Succession fame. Why Mason is on the outs with both MI6 and the Black Kites remains under wraps for much of the film, but suffice it to say that when the answers come, they are almost charming in their non-distinctiveness. In fact, the whole film is completely inseparable from everything else in the Statham subgenre, but also from so many other action films. In premise, it borrows from the Bourne Identity series. In its relationship between Mason and Jessie, it takes from Leon the Professional. In the legend of Mason's character, it apes from John Wick. That's not to say it isn't a fun time to see Statham easily knock down weaker opponents in his quest to bring Jessie to safety, but it does mean that the film is forgettable as a matter of course. The Wick movies work so well precisely because they are so purely balletic, but Ward Perry's script ironically makes the mistake of trying to make us care about Mason's relationship to a child he has just met. It never really makes sense why Mason is going so far out of his way to help her. Statham is just so comfortable in these roles now that it fits him as well as a fitted black cardigan. More intriguing is the suggestion of the film's politics vis-a-vis state surveillance. When the film begins, we learn that Manafort is under fire for helping to build a system that is illegally ripping away regular civilians' private data in order to find and quash terror threats with more alacrity. It seems at first that Perry and Waugh may be trying to make a larger point about how the use of artificial intelligence in surveillance is automatically faulty since it is inevitable, it will put innocent people in harm's way, but that promise is discarded pretty quickly. Much of Shelter is muddy in this regard. Everyone's motivations are suspect, from Manafort's hunting of his former prodigy to Mason's obsessive protection of Jessie to Jess's bonding with Mason. That doesn't even touch Roberta Frost's Naomi Ackie, Manafort's MI6 successor. Ackie is a fine actor, but she has nothing to do in this film except react incredulously to computer images. One knows how to build an action sequence with the best of them, and Shelter is ultimately an electric actioner so long as it is sticking to the action. Statham is just so comfortable in these roles now that it fits him as well as a fitted black cardigan. It really is hard to overstate just how solid he is, so much so that he easily papers Perry's bog-standard script. But maybe next time Statham's character can have more to do than take revenge on a bunch of unsuspecting idiots.